When you step into a really good series with its own unique take on the world, it's hard not to fall in love. And that's exactly what happened to me on July 30th, 2022. After doing some research on shoujo anime for another video I made on the channel, I stumbled upon Kageki Shoujo, a shoujo adapted anime series from 2021 that somehow flew under my radar. I sat down to binge the series and was whisked away into the theatrical opera of a class of young girls aiming for careers as Teruzuka actors, an all-female theater production troupe. But only 3 episodes in, I realized that this show was not the beautifully optimistic show I expected it to be. Instead, diving headfirst, with no warning, might I add, into really sensitive topics that affected the girls in the show, and changing my perspective on the series as a whole. Welcome, my new friends. If you are new here, there's one rule you must follow. Make sure to grab your cup because it's time to spill the anime tea. Today, we'll be discussing the honest yet relentlessly hopeful series of Kageki Shoujo and its unflinching approach to trauma. Let's begin. A couple videos back on my channel, I talked about shoujo anime and how it's disappearing and how it's very important to have certain stories being told, even if they're not very popular, just because it provides diversity. It allows people to relate to different stories with different characters that might be more similar to them and help them feel seen. And I think Kageki Shoujo definitely embodies this. Kageki Shoujo showcases a plethora of girls who are joining the first year class of the infamous Koka School of Musical and Theatrical Arts, where they get to compete in roles in the all-female production troupe known as the Koka Revue. Our main characters are Ai and Sawa, 2 girls with 2 very different personalities who kind of end up colliding at the school and have their fates intertwined as they both reach for their goals. The story uses slice of life elements as well as competition and rivalry to really help us get to know each of the characters and their goals, what they're fighting for, what they are trying to achieve, and why that is, as well as the struggles that they've been through before they got there and while they are there. Speaking of struggles, let's talk about how Kageki Shoujo unflinchingly approaches trauma in its story. When some anime approach trauma, especially everyday trauma, such as bullying, mental and physical disorders, as well as abuse, I tend to cringe. This is because, for the most part, anime and a lot of stories kind of use trauma as plot, and that basically just means they don't really provide anything for the characters or the story. They are either just added to make the audience feel pity for the character, or feel shocked or upset, or feel some kind of strong emotion for the character without actually having to provide any actual character growth or actual details about that character in their life. Basically, it's kind of like a cheat code for writing characters that people will care about. So being prepared for this, as I've seen it in many an anime, I held my breath all throughout episode 3, where the story kind of focuses in on a single character and tells us her backstory and why she is afraid of men. But when I came out on the other side of that episode, I was in tears. And I did pity the character, which is not always a good thing, because then I worried that I was just going to pity this character throughout the rest of the series and not really get to understand her or her goals or anything about her because of this traumatic backstory that kind of lingered over her. But I was thoroughly surprised that this was not the case, and throughout the rest of the season, as she comes to kind of not overcome but kind of face the obstacles and the trauma that she has been through alongside her friends and people that care for her, she eventually learns to have her own goals and she begins to strive for something. I don't want to give away too much information about the characters in the show and their stories, because I really want people to kind of go into the series blindly without like a lot of information, because that's how I went into it and I really enjoyed it. The only part that concerned me was that there was like no warning about episode 3, so I am here to warn you. Episode 3 contains sensitive topics like things of abuse and SA. Proceed with caution with that episode. There's also an episode with an eating disorder not too long after that. Saiki Sensei requested for us to handle the scenes of trauma unflinchingly, says Kazuhiro Yoneda, the director of Kageki Shoujo. I took it upon myself to approach it head on without flitting my gaze away as if to pretend I hadn't seen it. And yeah, the scenes that are portrayed, the ones that do get deeper, like in episode 3, like the eating disorder, they are very much head on, which is why I say that it happened without much warning, because the show felt like it was just honestly trying to showcase aspects of each each of these girls' lives, some bad things happen to some of the characters. Like all of us in real life, we have some bad stories. We also have good stories. I can't say for certain that every subject was handled like perfectly or really well. Like just speaking as myself as an individual, I'm sure someone else who's had similar experiences to any of these girls may say that it was not handled well, or may say that it is. It's up to us individually to decide. But I will say that each story allowed me to better understand each of the characters, their motivations for being there, who they are, who they want to be, their reasons for maybe doing something that seemed mean or wrong in the moment, or for their attitudes and personalities. What I love the most about this story though is not that it just unflinchingly portrays trauma, it's also that it balances out these like harder, kind of really heavy backstories with lighter, more honest and more enjoyable backstories as well. Are just a good majority of the characters in the first class with Sawa and Ai, and we get to learn a little bit about each of the girls, who they are, who they were before they joined the Coca school, and who they are trying to be. From stories of first love and defining your individuality to more serious topics like abuse, discrimination, and eating disorders, there's a wide array of stories for everyone. Even though the main two characters get a lot of screen time, each of the girls in Class 1A gets their chance to shine, and I appreciate that. Especially in such a short series, it's only 11 episodes. And after learning each of the girls' struggles, I feel like they each came away with something bigger, something that they could utilize to reach their goals, to be the roles that they want to be in the Cocoa School, as well as their confidence in their acting skills and in their abilities. What makes it worth watching is just seeing like honest depictions of friendships. People don't normally just want to be friends right away. Some people can be standoffish, and that's kind of a normal trope in anime. But I appreciate the level of detail that the creator put into the relationship between the main two girls, Ai and Sawa, because they have this kind of back and forth dynamic that's almost like a romance. It seems mostly platonic, so I'm not gonna say like I ship them. If you do, that's your prerogative. I love that there is as much detail into their relationship and into them trying to be friends as there is given to like a romance couple in other series. Because for the most part, anime tends to handle friendship as like the characters will be either instantly friends or they are just rivals. But what about a girl wanting to be this other girl's closest friend, getting jealous of her other friends or her boyfriend or things like that? I love that perspective because we don't see that enough. The characters are still teen girls. I think that sometimes they'll lose sight of what's around them and make mistakes, says Kumiko Seiki, the mangaka of the Kageki Shoujo manga. That's why I'm careful in depicting good adults who will reach out to the girls in their hardships and show them the way. And I have to say, I do like the depictions of the adults in the series. In the anime, you know, it's only 11 episodes. You really don't get that deep into the girls' backstories, let alone the teachers' backstories, which are super interesting just based off of what they hinted at. I love that the teachers are balanced. Like there's some teachers that are a little too hard on the girls or seem too hard, but they say like, oh, we have to be difficult because they're going to be in a really difficult career once they graduate from the school. So they need to be able to handle things that we say and do. And then there's other teachers who try their best to make sure that the girls know that they are just worthy of like being in the school and that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to the other girls in the class, even though they are all like competitors. They are not in it alone. Besides just the characters though, I love the world of Kageki Shoujo. I love how immersive it is into this form of acting that is very integral to like Japanese culture that doesn't really get mentioned that much. First time I heard about it was actually in Ouran High School Host Club, where there was an entire episode where there was an all-girl school and they had some of the girls from that school like take Haruhi over there and they wanted her to be in their acting troupe. Several years later, now that I'm watching Kageki Shoujo, I kind of understand more the dynamic of that episode and that part of the series than I ever did before. And it's interesting because in Ouran High School Host Club, it's often mentioned that Haruhi's mom was also like a huge Teruzuka Revue fan and she would go to all the things. And I can understand why now because I love these girls. I love seeing the older characters who were actually in the troupe. They make appearances in the anime to talk to some of the younger girls. Even though they were a bit idealized because they came from the view of the young girls, so we were kind of seeing through their perspective on how they viewed these older troop members, I liked that we got a glimpse of who they were, what the girls possibly would be later on in the series once they became full-on Koka Revue actors. And I really appreciate the depth that the creator and the directors and the anime team took to provide information and kind of be like historically correct about what it showed. What's really cool is that one of the main characters has like a whole paralleled story with her connection to Kabuki and her wanting to be in the Koka Revue, because Kabuki is like a traditional Japanese theater production troupe that is only men, and Teruzuka is like exactly the opposite, and I believe it was made in contradiction to Kabuki. Actually, Under the Scope has a really good video breaking down like the history of Kageki Shoujo and its relation to Teruzuka Revue, so please check that out. I'll leave it in the description or up here. I love that we learned not only about Revue acting but also about Kabuki, and it's able to handle like providing all of this information on top of diving into each of these characters as individuals. Surprisingly, I also learned that Kageki Shoujo is not the only anime, or not even the only recent anime, to do a reference to Teruzuka Revue acting. There's another series called Revue Starlight, which I've heard is pretty good. I heard that there's a lot more like romantic relationships between the girls. But yeah, it's just nice to know that there's more anime like that. There's just so much art, influences, and references, not even just in this anime, but in other anime and series as well, which is great because I want more. Now that I've gotten a taste of the world of Kageki Shoujo and Revue actors, I want more of it. So after talking about a series that like kind of took the basis of a shoujo rom-com plot and shat all over it, I decided to talk about a show that actually deserves more watch time. Is really good. It doesn't have a super heavy emphasis on romance, which is fine because I think the bits of romance that it shows are great. They're subtle and very cute, and I don't think it even really needs romance though, because that's not the focus of the series. The focus is on these girls and their goals and their friendships and their rivalries. What's especially great about Kageki Shoujo is that it's for all fans. You know, shoujo fans especially, we don't get a lot of really good adaptations, but this one definitely is. It's also well animated. It's beautiful. The colors, the opening sequence alone will blow you away. This is great for anyone who likes slice of life, slightly competitive shows. There's no sports really in this one, but there is competition because of the acting and each of the girls trying to get the roles that they want to play as. Plus, you know, since the world of cute girls doing cute things is a thing, I think that this kind of fits perfectly for anyone who likes that kind of stuff. I mean, all the girls are adorable and we get to learn about them. There's a lot more substance actually than the cute girls, cute things trope. And on top of all of that, you get to learn about actual history of like Japan, Teruzuka Revue, and Kabuki in like 11 episodes of this beautifully directed anime. What more can you want? Anyway, if you've seen Kageki Shoujo, or if you plan on seeing it, or if you've seen any other show where it talks about girls and acting and kind of are along these lines, please let me know in the comments down below. Share your recommendations. I'd love to watch more anime like this. Anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, my name is Phoenix, and what do I do? My name is Phoenix, and I dive into the world of visual storytelling in anime and sometimes manga on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, click up here. Thanks for watching today. I'm really hot and sweaty. I'm gonna put the fan on. See you in the next one. Peace.